play.
Final match that I want us to hone in on is Joao Fonseca against Hubert Hurkacz. Again, maybe for many on the men's side, this is the one of note. The polls I'm referring to, Terry, are actually in the WhatsApp group that we're in at Talking Tennis. However, there is one on Twitter. In fact, there's more than one. But here is one of note on Twitter for you to look at, which is Fonseca against Hurkacz, which I've just published probably about, 20 minutes ago, maybe less, 10 minutes ago. And we've already got quite a few votes in already. 61-39 is the balance. That almost feels about right. Well, we'll come to that shortly. Fonseca against Hurkacz. What are your thoughts on this, Brenna?
Yeah, I mean, this is an amazing match. First round match at Roland Garros. You got two players coming in kind of at different stages in the clay season. For Hurkacz, just returning, looking a lot better physically. Comes through a thriller against Mensik in Rome.
Yeah.
And I think the two things that are important is his backhand holding up really well, and kind of just like tolerance as a whole. And obviously, the biggest weapon being the serve, still finding his range there. And then for Fonseca, I guess a little bit of a letdown in terms of what we had going into the clay season. But, he's got one more shot at it. And, it's the biggest event where it'll be the most eyes watching. And that's, an exciting opportunity for him and all tennis fans to kind of just be involved with and feel that energy and the atmosphere that he brings. And I think we're looking at a clash tennis-wise. I mean, so much power from both players, and two players that like to play on top of the rally. Hubie does like to play aggressive, get to the net when he can. He trusts himself so well at the net. He has really good hands. And then for Fonseca, just trying to hit as many forehands as he can, and I guess make it physical. I feel like he does have that advantage. So it'll be an interesting clash, and looking forward to it.
Serve return. Hurkacz's serve versus Fonseca's return may well be where this encounter is won and lost. I'll come to my prediction shortly. Fergus, what are your thoughts when you first saw this draw?
Yeah, it's almost like it feels so. Obviously, Rublev was a top 10 player in Australia, but it feels so similar in a sense to this Rublev Fonseca matchup. I've kind of changed my mind in the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm going to favor Hubie.
Okay.
I just feel as though Fonseca hasn't taken me this clay season by storm as much as I was thinking he would have, especially when he got that win over Rublev in Australia. Like, that's a bit, and then obviously he won the title in Argentina. It kind of was, I was kind of expecting it to hit me like a hurricane, almost like how he'd start running through players and kind of do what Mensik did, but we just haven't got to that point yet. He's still super early in his career. Like, there's no need for anything to be questioned at this point, but I just think Hubie's kind of finding his form again. Obviously, he made a run in Rome. He's still in Geneva playing his quarterfinal today. Yeah, I think I'll favor Hubie in 4, actually. But listen, it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be pretty high quality. I mean, the forehands are both super strong. And yeah, if Hubie can get to the net, but you were saying how if Hubie can come to the net, it will be, he trusts himself there. But I think that's kind of what Fonseca wants him to do in a sense. He wants to bring him forward and pass him at the net. I mean, he's a big guy, obviously. He's 6'6", 7", something like that.
At least, yep.
Yeah. So, but I feel like Fonseca almost wants it on his forehand, pass at the net, and then, gets the crowd involved. I 100% think the crowd will be all over Fonseca's back, behind him. So,
you mean
support him, not on his back, as in.
I think you'll get plenty of Brazilians in Paris.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm going to go Hubie in 4.
Okay. And what are you predicting then for Brenner?
I like Fonseca in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning that way too, despite his sketchy form against De Jong. Obviously, we're seeing that on the screen right now, where he lost in Estoril, lost to Tommy Paul in Madrid. And in fact, that was sort of that tie break, and he was obviously very close to at least getting a set and maybe even going on to beat Tommy there, is kind of where his clay season started to unravel. Pretty early on as well, because that was his first tournament. It was the one that maybe many of us thought he would do most damage at in terms of his serve and the way maybe he would enjoy the altitude there in Madrid. But going out early there, and then this loss to De Jong, and then in Rome, who did he lose to there? Someone remind me. Marajan, of course. Tricky first round opponent. But again, those 3 losses in a row to Tommy Paul and to De Jong, followed by Marajan, have certainly sort of shaken some of our thoughts about him on clay. In fact, here he is talking on Talking Tennis here, where we've got him speaking in Portuguese, but he does highlight how maybe right now a hard court is still a slightly better surface for him, despite that 250 tournament win in Buenos Aires that I think came to him as a bit of a surprise in his learning curve. However, all of that aside, I think 5 sets actually, despite his tender years, sometimes we think of 5 sets, obviously, if it's a young and against an old, and you would probably favor the young and over 5 sets if it goes that way. But then there's the other reverse effect. You've got players like Sinner and Rune as well that have often struggled early on over 5 sets, particularly physically. So it can kind of go both ways. And maybe there's a peak of sort of 20 to 25 years old, which Joao, still very young, has not quite yet reached. And yet I think he's going to be one of these players, a bit like Carlos, where we're going, oh, that helps. Maybe some of these losses he had over 5 sets, he turns it around. I mean, who knows with the mentality as well of how that Tommy Paul match might have gone. And yeah, I think that'll help him against Hubert, which still can't be trusted 100% physically. And by the way, it is a close one. I think any result, a straight sets win for Hubert, a straight sets win for Joao, or anything in between, is extremely feasible. But I'm going Joao in 4. Brenner, any final thoughts?
I think, I wanted to add one more thing, and it pertains to kind of the best of 5, the major format. I think Australia or his experience in Australia will help him a bit here. Mm-hmm. And I also think he's the type of player where he's young. His level will fluctuate. He's such a big game, so offensive, so powerful. You're going to have lapses. So I think the opportunity to have time to find your rhythm, and it only, helps his confidence, is going to be important, especially playing someone like Hubie, who is a veteran and can kind of take the racket out of your hand with the serve. Not as much on this surface, but it can still happen. I think that will allow, time to either gain rhythm or allow time to get back into the match if he does go down.
All right. Final words, Fergus?
No, but I kind of agree with Brenner there that, his level could fluctuate from set to set, and, I could be very wrong in saying Hubie in 4, but yeah, it kind of makes me feel as though that Fonseca could have like this run of 4 games where he's just untouchable. He's landing every forehand. He's returning everything on the baseline, but then I just feel it's going to be interesting to see what outbalances the other. Whether Fonseca's lows are a lot worse than are low enough that the highs can't get him over the line. But yeah, it definitely see that his standards will fluctuate definitely throughout the match. But I expect him to at least at the very least take a set. Yeah.
That poll is closing, so maybe some people, Fergus, have been listening to your Hurkacz suggestions. It's I think it was 60-40 at the beginning of our chat, and 6 votes later, and it's almost 50-50. So we'll see. There's 2 more days, as you can see, to vote in that one. We'll have to wait and see when these matches will take place, but it's another one to look forward to, along with several others in the French Open, which of course you can watch. So many things on the channel. We'll be bringing you daily reviews. We'll be doing watch-alongs. We'll be doing analysis and previews, and just about anything French Open related possible, we will be doing it, and we'll be bringing it to you here on the channel. So After this epic episode of 2.5 hours or so, that began with a preview to the draw, and then the draw itself, and then a reaction as it happened, and then a chance to chill, and then some thoughts, and then final reflections. I am now about to bring this to a close. So, Brenna, big thanks to you.
Thank you.
And as well to you, Fergus.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Cool. And now you know the truth. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jaime Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, Mario.
Hello. How are you?
Well, how are you doing?
Quite fine. I can't wait to watch the match, actually. So I'm happy.
It will be an interesting match. I'm not sure I have a good feel for this one.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know. I feel like many different things can happen today. Like I've tried to think about this match for like the past 20 minutes, and I don't know. I have some feelings. I have some reasonable thoughts, but it's difficult for me to really come at a conclusion I'm really sure about. So this also adds a lot of entertainment for me also before the match. I really hope it will be a competitive one, and I think that for what we have seen in the past weeks from Hurkacz and also from what we know Fonseca can bring, I think it's possible that this will be a very it will be likely a very competitive one.
I think so. I think there was a preview video playing before this. I think it was John that said Hurkacz could win this in 3, Fonseca could win this in 3, and neither of those results would necessarily be surprising. I don't know that any result in between those would be surprising. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. This is the first time they have played, and it's Joao's first appearance at Roland Garros, a tournament that I think he should do well at throughout his career. So I'm interested to see his performance today.
Yeah, I mean, starting with Ubi, of course, it's been a difficult start of the season. Also, the injury still really, slowed him down. But then again, yeah, the quarterfinals in Rome, of course, Geneva last week. So I feel like he's got the needed confidence to enter this match. Fonseca, it's been kind of the opposite. He was fantastic in the first part of the season, slowed down just a little bit here on the clay in Europe, but of course, still a long way to go the year, and of course he's very young, a little bit ups and downs. I actually think the best of 5 format can even help him a little bit, meaning that also at his young age, if he's a little bit up and down in this one, as he's been a little bit in the clay season so far, of course he a little bit of a bad patch in the match can be forgiven a bit more than for example what it happens on when he played in Estoril or in Rome. I don't know, and we'll see. I think Hubi's defense can probably bother him a little bit. We know that, I think like Hubi's defense game is a bit underrated. It's actually quite annoying for you as an opponent. Maybe Fonseca can get a bit frustrated at time.
Hello, Brenner.
Hello.
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Doing
good.
Well. Match has just started.
Yeah.
A good first point from Hurkacz with forehand winner.
So I want to hear your opinion then, of course, also on this one, how this can play out.
Yeah, Mario. I mean, I think I'm leaning with the maybe more fun bias in terms of wanting to see more of Fonseca, especially on the clay. and I feel like we were a little bit not robbed, but he just didn't have the season that maybe we were expecting. And so I just want, a couple more opportunities to see him here. But yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at a tight match. Obviously, you have to be happy with, Hubie in terms of when we made the earlier prediction. I think that was before his little run in Geneva. And, obviously the conditions helped him out a lot there. The opponents weren't extremely formidable, but you have to at least tip the cap to that final effort that he had. So he's coming in here probably, filled with confidence. The conditions do change a bit. Geneva, a little bit of altitude. And then for Fonseca, I think, like I said, maybe just didn't see as much of him as we wanted this clay season. But I think he has a great opportunity here and maybe kind of capitalize on that, title hangover for Hurkacz. So I do see a tight one, but I do think Fonseca has the ability to come out.
I don't know the draw. I gotta be honest with you too. Can you remind me? These two guys who can play later.
Oh, that's a good question.
This will face. I believe who is this? Pierre Hughes Hubert in the next.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Hubert.
Who came through in a 5-set win over Benjamin Bonzi earlier today, so it's a good result.
Yeah. What about you, Mario? How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I was talking before about it. Meaning that I wasn't really able to come in a conclusion. A reasonable one. There are many possible. That's why. It's probably a bit more about feelings. I feel like, I'm quite optimistic for Fonseca tonight. Just because, I feel like, for example, if something like what it happened against Tommy Paul in Madrid, played a great first set, and then, a couple points slipped away from him in the tiebreak. Today, it's, kind of forgivable a bit more, meaning that there's still a long way to go for the opponent. And the only thing probably, Hurkacz, the way he plays from the baseline, a bit like, also his slice defense can probably bother Fonseca a bit if Fonseca starts to rush a bit too much with his shots. I really see a tight one today. But I'm feeling confident on Fonseca on this match. I feel like he can do something positive if probably Hurkacz can also probably pay a little bit the change of conditions between the two tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I think you spoke about a lot of the things I was thinking about beforehand, and I think the Geneva run kind of only helps Fonseca, as I guess maybe odd as that sounds, just because you got the genuine like physical fatigue of going through the draw to a final, but then a 3-hour final, a little bit of a hangover obviously because you were so close to getting the title, 4-2 up in the third against Djokovic. That's such a pivotal one for Hubie, and we know how I guess like friendly, nice of a guy Hubie is, and like that obviously that hurt him a lot to lose that final. I think the other thing you spoke about, which I agree with, is kind of the length of the match and how that can help Fonseca, because I think his level is so it varies so much, and so you're going to have lapses with like how he peaks. So that's just part of it, and I think that allows him to have a little bit more time to recover if he does go down, but also just like wait for his rhythm to, I guess, come into fruition. So good hold for Hubie though.
We started with 2 aces on Fonseca's serve. Can I be honest? It's not a big deal, of course, but I miss the electronic line system.
So do I.
I'm sorry. I'm old school on many things, but this one particularly, I like it. I just didn't want to see any more mark check
Right.
this stuff going.
Right. I'm curious. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of just speaking off my head, but I didn't think we were going to see umpires again. And then I saw them in qualities, and I was like, oh, maybe it's just a qualities thing. But I guess this is like the last time the Roland Garros will do it. I'm curious if there are any more tournaments that are going to do it.
Wimbledon, I believe. So
Wimbledon has the no line judges.
Sorry?
This year, no line judges for Wimbledon.
Was that confirmed? Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. That was the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like for Roland Garros, technically because it is its own thing and it's not an ATP event, like they don't have to necessarily follow that guideline of the electronic line calling at all tournaments. So they get to make all of the Grand Slams get to make their own rules a little bit.
Yeah, it's mandatory for tournaments organized by the ATP. So of course the Grand Slams have some sort of they can still choose, I believe. But I remember Wimbledon shared an official news saying they will be changing starting this year. By the way, a comfortable hold for Fonseca here. Of course, the match still has to, to really get started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that was also another thing that I talked about in the preview in terms of, how many extended rallies will we see? Wow, that is really. I'm looking at the Fonseca kit. That is that's a vibrant kit. Good for On Cloud. But yeah, I mean, example A in terms of I just don't like seeing the umpires coming back out. Players being frustrated about marks, kind of slowing down play, gives opportunities for the crowd to be a little bit more hostile, which, I love in certain moments. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, we're all, I guess I'm used to the electronic thing already, and I'm fine with it, I guess, at this point.
We've also already seen some incorrect calls as well, which none have been like on match points or anything. But I mean, it's something you don't get with the ELC at all. So
yeah, as our producer is pointing out, and some other people in the comments, Rocha and Bashiveli just finished up. That was kind of an epic. Went 5 sets, and I guess there was some not controversy, but some excitement on match point in terms of a double net cord.
I gotta be honest, it kind of surprised me, the result, a little bit, meaning that I was really I saw Basilashvili playing so well in qualis and the week before, so I kind of thought he would have got through this one. But very, very big moment for Rocha. These are very good Grand Slam storylines. We saw also Gomez earlier today, players who get a big opportunity on this stage. It's always great at the Grand Slam.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he has played well. I mean, I think like fitness is one thing, and we talk about another player that can like peak so high, but for kind of just short periods of time, and he's one of them. But I think he did lose a tough third set, maybe, where he was up a break or two, ended up losing it. Yeah, 9-7 in a tiebreak that third set after being a breakup. Yeah, that must have been painful, but yeah, Jack Draper just got it done as well. Just seeing that.
Yeah,
he finished up. We have a break point here for Fonseca. There's Super Dave in the chat. And Ghosty, of course. Jake is here. And Nerlon. Thanks for joining us today.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like early. Hubie's really looking at the Fonseca backhand, you know?
I kind of felt like, I don't even, not really much happened in this game. The break just came. Hubie, this mistake as well. He looked in charge of the point. Let's see that. I feel like the match really has to get going, even if we already have got a break, of course. And this, of
Right.
course, can be important for Fonseca getting a lead early on. I feel like even in his past matches, like the recent losses he had, usually it's been kind of the opposite. So he's always had to play on the back foot in terms of the score. And so it can be important also for him to to start well score wise, and maybe I don't know, just shrug off if he has some little negative thought of anything, and just play a bit freer in this first set. Right.
100%. And I think also on the flip side for Hubie, I'm just still thinking about that hangover, and I know there was a lot of talk in terms of how much, I guess, like emotion and like, I guess, just drought in terms of losing that final, and how hard it is to you lose a final, but now you have a opening round Grand Slam match against kind of like the new kid on the block. And I don't have the volume on, but I can only imagine how crazy the atmosphere is for Fonseca. So, I mean, it's just tough for Hubie to kind of settle into the match. A good start is also important for him. So just be something to see how he responds to.
It does look like there's quite a bit of Brazilian support in the crowd. See lots of Brazilian soccer jerseys and some flags as well.
Yeah, it's not easy actually as a turnaround for Hurkacz. That has to be said, especially the way everything happened. Because I mean, we've seen players going deep in Geneva and then doing great at Roland Garros as well. But the way everything happened, also the emotional toll of maybe all this long fight he had just for losing and fall short. And yeah, I know it's 3 days, but it's not easy, especially because the draw hasn't been very kind. I'm sure he would have preferred other opponents. I mean, Fonseca and other 3 or 4 guys were probably the toughest to play. So not easy at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you also point that out. I mean, the draw was made, I think it was Friday, Thursday. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's Thursday.
So,
Thursday.
I mean, obviously, it'd be cool to know how close some players watch the draw. As we know, some players don't. But you're curious if that's kind of like in the back of Hubie's mind come Saturday morning. Like, if I don't get it done here against Djokovic, well, guess what? I have to go, play Fonseca in France, in Paris. So definitely not a friendly draw.
Hubert just misfiring quite a bit from the forehand side right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We haven't really seen anything spectacular so far from Fonseca. Like, he's playing okay, doing what he has to do. But yeah, Hubie is very erratic so far. Oh, this is incredible. Okay. I called a great point.
Now the match has begun.
Wow. Do you guys like the kit? The OnCloud kit?
I like it more than what Hurkacz is wearing.
Everyone's going with the neon these days. Mario, what about you?
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit better than what he was wearing at the Australian Open. Yeah, but I'm not a fan of Dion's kits, I have to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Hurkacz hasn't really entered the court.
Right. 3 break points now. That's a nice ace.
I'm with producer on this one. The kid is good. Hurkacz. I like it.
Right.
Oh, that's a poor miss.
Again. Okay.
Now 2 breaks for Fonseca, and yeah, I mean, best out of 5, different conversations than when it's best out of 3. It's like, at what point is this set over? Does Hurkacz just reset for set 2?
Yeah, I think it is that he has to enter the court, because so far, he really hasn't done it. Fonseca, yeah, that spectacular point, but overall, it's been a bit more about Hubie's mistakes so far, I feel like.
He is serving very, very well, though.
Yeah. That's true.
Only missed 1 first serve so far.
Yeah. Sorry. I agree. I feel like we haven't really gotten to the match.
But there is the doctor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a doctor here. Doctor or physio, I'm still not sure. But yeah, it can make sense. Speaking about, I don't know, it's been a bit weird as a performance so far, regardless of what, of course, Fonseca's level. Probably it's a doctor, probably giving him some. No, I don't understand.
I'm got it
What's
now.
happening?
Just grabbed like
He grabbed one of his water bottles.
Yeah, but I haven't understood what happened. No, okay.
No, he's getting all of his water bottles.
Is he not a doctor? Who is he? I haven't understood.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Like, can I walk onto the court and just grab a player's water bottles like that? Like, I'm not sure what just happened there, but
okay.
Oh god.
Yeah, so many water bottles.
Can it be maybe my mind is just going a bit crazy, but can it be a matter of sponsorships on the water bottles? Well, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, not sure I've seen something like that before.
Because he had the water drops bottles.
Yeah.
And okay. I'm not going to investigate too much. This is good. I think this backhand, yes.
That was good.
Now he is flying. He is flying on confidence as well.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good start. That was also good. A little more margin on that one, but another great backhand.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that's like going to my mind is obviously Hubie is one who doesn't get broken often. This year, maybe a little bit more exception because I don't know.
I'm shocked. Mertens is lost.
Really?
Sorry?
Wow. I always expect her to win at least one match
Right.
at every Grand Slam tournament.
Right.
So 5-1. It's been a bit of both today, so far, tonight. Joao entered the court really, really well. Hubie is still not there. Okay, here.
Yeah, just to follow up. I was saying, I mean, Hubie just like doesn't get broken often, and then yet the second game of the match, and then what, he got broken. How many times did Djokovic break him? Once? Twice?
Yeah, but I mean, in the Rome quarterfinals, there probably were more breaks
Of
than
course.
holds. So it's not, it's not really about how many times it gets broken, but a bit weird on the forehand as well. Really not finding it. And yeah, of course, after the first couple of games, then Fonseca kept raising his level. Of course, you can also draw a lot of confidence from your opponent, missing a lot. And now he's playing very, very well.
Yeah, and I was also going to mention, like, I know there's not much altitude in Geneva. I don't know what it is exactly, but it is still altitude. So that helps. It's always one of those tournaments that Jari did well at. Casper Ruud. So there are different conditions. Probably practice twice, I'd have to assume. So
that's a good forehand there. This is an important game for him to hold.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the set's probably gone.
All right, he holds.
Yeah.
(5-2).
Yeah, just looking for like rhythm, I guess, at this point. Yeah.
I'm still looking at the bottles. I really want to understand this thing.
Oh, are they returning it? You got 2 of them back, but not the water drop ones on my screen yet.
Those were the Perrier ones.
Yeah.
All right, Mute just won a second set tiebreak.
Yeah, that must have been crazy.
And yeah, Mario said this, but at least Merton's lost.
I have a question. How has my day been? Quite good, I gotta say. I had to go to university just to return to books, which was quite annoying because I have to drive 40 minutes in the traffic, back and forth. So, it's almost 1 hour and a half. So basically the morning got lost this way. But yeah, overall, it's been also fun with the tennis today, more or less. There's been quite few entertaining matches. And, it hasn't been a very productive day, but I cannot complain. I'll do better tomorrow.
Masu is Hurkacz's coach. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, another forehand mistake. Oh no! I won the point.
Fonseca's was
and he said sorry. It was a bit weird. I was sure, I'm listening without the sound, so I was sure he had missed. This is a second serve ace.
It's aggressive, but I like it.
Both, Matthew. Fonseca is playing a great set. Hubie is not finding almost anything so far. Ooh.
That's tough.
This is an avoidable mistake because gives Hubie 2 break points.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like I've done maybe not quite a few, but a decent amount of Fonseca matches to date, and still just kind of waiting for a more controlled approach. I feel like maybe even playing the scoreboard a bit.
I
Understanding
haven't, gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I've watched 3 this year.
Okay. Tommy Paul was one of them, of course.
Yes, for sure. The Buenos Aires final.
Yes.
And the first round at the Australian Open.
Yes. But I think, okay, then, Mario, I'll go to this thought. I think it was, okay, I'm watching the second break point.
Of course, I'm talking from start to finish because,
Yes,
you know,
sir, yes, sir.
I've watched, you know, a lot in other moments.
Yeah. I think, was Fonseca a breakdown in that second set against Tommy Paul? I think he was.
Yes.
Yeah, he broke back.
Yeah.
And then lost in a tiebreak.
Yeah. He didn't
7-5.
Yeah, it
no,
wasn't
2 tiebreaks was.
Yeah, it wasn't a good tiebreak that he played. But it was just like encouraging to see him, you know, hunker down a bit more when he was down a break in that second, and maybe just play with a little bit, you know, more margin. I don't know, maybe a little bit more just tennis IQ, understanding the moment and not just going, you know, balls to the wall, you know, trying to rip the ball. So that's why I just think over 5 sets, it's like more interesting to see his level. Even like when you think about the Australian Open, that second round, I didn't think Sonego would be a good matchup for him, as he does rip a forehand winner, and Fonseca takes the first set 6-2.
A great one.
Yeah, it was deserved. Good hold there too.
Yeah, really good hold from him. I mean, he hasn't had to do too much yet, but just ripping forehand winners, which when those are going in, he plays very well.
Well, I've got to say that, you know, I was a bit more judging like that in the first, you know, 3 games when the break, you know, came. But after that, I felt like he really raised his level. He played a great set of tennis. Of course, 30 winners. It's also 5 aces, which matters, of course. You know, he played a great set of tennis, I gotta say. Yeah, I mean, Hubie has to find his forehand if he wants to make of this a match, because you know, probably this is where he's struggling a lot, because you know, you were talking about the Madrid match, how Fonseca was kind of stripped off the cross-court forehand battle in that match. You know, the forehand kind of got brought out of a equation. He hit kind of, you know, the backhands Tommy Paul hit in that match were like 92% cross courts, and but Hubie, you know, he's not been able to find this kind of thing, because, you know, it's just not able to play at that pace so far. Really slow. Of course, the forehand is all over the place. So, you know, I'm expecting a reaction. We'll see if, you know, there is some reaction in him.
Yeah, I mean, fairly quick set. So, you know, quick reset. But you do, I mean, just my thought, you do sort of think about how important this set is for Hubie, going down 2-0 with his legs. The knees look good, obviously. That's been something I've been looking at, I guess, just since his return. That brace he's wearing is very, very heavy. It's like I don't know if you guys have ever put one of those on. It's very, very strong, but like you feel protected, but it is a little bit more, difficult to move. You don't have as much knee bend. But yeah, you just think with that 3-hour final that he played on Saturday, the legs it took to get through that week, playing another 3 sets would be difficult. But I guess the caveat is when you play Fonseca, these points are typically quick. So
yeah, I mean, it's been 28-minute set, so I'm not really thinking about the physical, meaning about how long the match is. I'm really thinking if it's just feeling 100% to really hang in the rally, because in the first set he really looked slow also in reaction when he had to hit the forehand many shanks. This is another mistake, for example. I don't know.
No, I hear you.
Some early pressure points here in this set. We got a bad neck cord on the last point, so love 30 right now.
See, for example, the return was great, but he looked a bit very slow in reaction also. After the serve.
Wow.
That's great.
What a point. All right. Break right away.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm actually more, I always have to ruin the atmosphere, meaning that for me, the defenses were, what I like the most about the point, Fonseca's defenses. Then, of course, the volley is great. It's a great shot, amazing. It was very difficult. But, for me, it's mostly about, how good he covered the court and, how depth his defense was in this rally. This is really what I found, mesmerizing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was also watching Hubert just pick these balls up at his feet, which is not an easy thing to do at his size either. Still looking, for any sort of rhythm. I like this question by Jake, though. I'll turn to you guys first. I mean, I know it is clay, but thinking about, Hurkacz isn't getting, free points from the serve. What does he turn to? And Jake also talks about, I guess it's a big reason why people thought he would win this match. What are you guys' thoughts on that point?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And I got to say that, for example, when we talk about the various conditions in clay tournament, we usually say Rome, it looks a bit more like Paris. And this year I was in Rome, and it's been very, very sunny and hot. The ball was really lively on the clay, which is totally the opposite of these first days in Paris. It's cold, it's cloudy, or rainy. So players with Fonseca's firepower are good in it, while Hubie, of course, for the score to look like that, for sure, it's really not going, well in general for him, and I don't think condition would really change a lot the discussion, because it's clear that we have a player who's doing amazing and another one who's really the shadow of himself. But yeah, I think probably how the conditions are turning to be in Paris, it's even worse for a player like Hurkacz.
Totally. That's, I guess, what I was thinking about coming in here. But obviously the preview video we did shoot was, a Thursday before, Hubie made that run. And also, I'm just thinking out loud too, like, I wonder how the start of this match is maybe a little bit different if Hurkacz does win that title. But now he's gotta find a way to claw back. And I'm just thinking about Australia. Hubie drew Kesmanovic first round, which I thought would be kind of fine for him, and he was just pretty much dismantled from the ground. Wasn't winning any of the big points, and here we are in the second major of the year, and I guess it's trekking down a similar path for him. But how can he respond?
And it's not just like the physical toll of that final either. It's the emotional toll as well that seems to maybe be having a bigger impact on him right now.
Hurkacz won a match in Australia.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure the first round was a win over Grigspor. I should know.
Sounds exactly right. That sounds exactly right.
Okay, come on.
Yep.
Because I was like, I can't believe I remembered this thing wrong.
No, it's me getting lost in the comments. Oh yeah. No, because he did play a good match actually against Grigspor.
Yeah,
never gonna
Grigspor
be an
came
easy
to
one.
Australia without preparation.
Right.
It still was, not ready. But of course, you don't miss a Grand Slam if you're even half fit.
Right.
But yeah, it still was a good win for him. But yeah, overall, as you mentioned, I'm pretty sure French Open is not the slam he comes in with the highest expectations among the four. So I don't think that even if he loses today against Fonseca, it's a massive disappointment. Of course, there is, there is a way to lose. If it, just never finds, anything. Of course, it will be disappointing for him because, as well as Fonseca plays, he still can do a little bit better than this, and at least making a little bit more competitive, even if just for a 3 sets loss. We'll see.
But Hubie is on the board now. Hopefully, you can quiet the crowd a bit.
Okay, I'm asking you both a question now. It's the right moment. Yeah. When you do a watch along or when you watch match, do you usually focus on the winner or on the guy who's losing, for how you are? Because I noticed this, that usually when I do these things and when I'm commenting, when I'm talking about a match, I'm always so negative. And, I always talk about the guy who's losing, like, no, he should do better in this way. He should do better in this department. And how kind of approach do you have usually, for your nature?
I think it depends on the match a little bit. Like something like today, like Hubie is not playing particularly well, but after the first couple of games, Fonseca has been really, really good. Like there's not, I mean, Hurkacz would be struggling in the best of circumstances right now. The scoreline would be tighter than it is, but it's not like he would be blowing him off of the court. That's a massive
No,
forehand.
that's absolutely right.
True. I kind of get lost, Mario. To be honest, I'm thinking about a lot of things I might be watching. Well, of course,
Yeah,
I
I
am
get it.
watching Fonseca match. I have another in the background here, but yeah, I think I like talking points, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like what we're doing now, where we can, talk about, Hurkacz, what this match means to his season, and we think about Fonseca, what he's doing well. I think, another thing is typically like when the player is down, I'm thinking about what can they do better, how can they get back in the match. For now, I just feel like I feel like we're maybe just getting into the match now. When you're watching, I did Sinner and Tommy Paul in Rome, and you're just like, what's going on here? And so many thoughts going through my head. But yeah, I guess like when I watch Fonseca, I'm in awe kind of at times in terms of what he can do with the racket, how much pop he has. But I'm also like always just excited because I'm excited about his next move, and I think that's a lot of fun. And obviously the atmosphere is another thing that
Yeah, for me, it becomes kind of tough when the score is really lopsided. I normally think that when the score looks in a certain way, it's usually because both things are true. There is a player who's playing kind of lights out and a player who's really not being himself. At least, in these cases, of course, if it's, this score, tomorrow between Sinner and Gasquet, for example, it kind of makes sense. It makes sense tonight as well, but still, you also know that even, with Fonseca playing amazing, still probably there could be a bit more balance in how this can look. But as you mentioned, these are not also good conditions for, for example, getting 3 points with, just a powerful serve. Like you have to, to be better also in that technique department, find better angles, because like, for example, Fonseca has done in the first set, he served really well.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, I feel like that's always been a little bit of a, limitation with Hurkacz on the surface. It's always a bit tougher though. I mean, like we're talking about some of the slower surfaces, in the world. So I don't like negatively put that against Hurkacz. It's just I have like a perception coming into the match, what I expect from him and what can he give me. And then from there, it's like, how can you make some adjustments, especially in a best of 5? It's a little more complex of an idea there.
Let's say that, when we say that the start is important, it may sound like an obvious thing, and it is, but, it's for me important to underline it because, at times your opponent is playing amazingly well, but you manage to hang in there and to, suffer, but still hold your serve, save, a couple break points here and there, and then maybe something can happen, and maybe the level drops a little bit, especially with a young player like Fonseca, which he has, of course, pressure, but it's a different kind of pressure. He still can play really free because it's not like somebody is asking him to win the tournament. So maybe if you don't stay there right from the beginning, the first couple games you get broken early on, and then your opponent's level can only grow because also them flying on confidence is just starting feeling less and less pressure because of course the score is looking great for him. And so it becomes more and more difficult for you, especially if you are not at your 100%.
Yep. And I think there's one there's obviously many players that way, but I agree with you, and I thank you for underlining that, because of course, like if you were to tell anyone, starting strong is extremely important, right? You always want to start strong, but there are players that I guess I'm less worrisome about in terms of comeback, and I feel like that's a little bit of Franz Cerundolo pre 2025, where I don't mind how he starts a match, because I just care about his rhythm, his confidence, you playing more tennis. If you lose a set by a break, but you got to play 45, 50 minutes of tennis, I think like that benefits him throughout the match, whereas other players just don't have that ability to like come back from the ground per se.
I mean, it depends on the match itself.
Yes,
like today it is less forgivable than against another opponent, for example. That's By the way, Jake, to your comment about the player who got coached by Franco Davin, yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's referring to him, but I'm thinking about Fognini. 3-2.
Something that is interesting, I think, in this match is that the short points, Hurkacz is starting to do a little bit better on those points in the 1-4 shot range. In the first set, Fonseca won 15, Hurkacz had 9. And in this set, it's 7-5 in favor of Hurkacz.
Yeah, it's the first time he holds twice in a row. So, for sure, this helps in this department. This is some mistakes. Love 15.
Yeah,
you're right about Del Potro. Yeah, you're right. But I was thinking more recently, and a great coach, full of experience.
all. Here's the interesting thing in best of 5. Like, if this were best of 3, match could be over in 15, 20 minutes. But it's only one break here. Hurkacz is not that far away from leveling this set at 1-1, and then there's a lot more tennis to go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, right now it's not in the air.
No.
But yeah, many times we've seen, something, for example, just a thing. Today, I gotta be honest, I was pretty sure that, after all that comeback, Medvedev in the end would have held his serve, and it didn't happen. And then, we know how it ended. So yeah, many times, there's something which really doesn't feel like going to happen, but yeah, a moment of pressure, your arm doesn't, feels a bit heavier, and it can happen. That's for sure.
Another thing that I'm thinking about as we speak is Felix. He lost from 2 sets to love up in Australia to Fokina. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like we might be encroaching on a similar position with Matteo Arnaldi.
I think it was 2 sets and the break, both in Australia and today, I think.
Yeah. So Arnaldi just got the break in the 4th.
Arnaldi, okay.
Yeah. That's like 2 similar players too, in terms of, similar in however sense you want to compare them. But Arnaldi and Fokina, like quick trigger players, very erratic. You kind of don't know what you're going to get from them. But 2 players that can, produce top 20 levels, top 15 levels on any given day.
You'll just never guess what will happen in the next point with both of them.
Yeah, it feels like the match is gaining some traction here, though. We got Fonseca 40-30. Game point on serve. Does a good job there. I think something that me and Fergus picked up on when we were doing one of our watch-alongs with Fonseca is he does do a really good job of going kind of big on the kick, but it's the first serve. And he's pretty much like locked in on the fact that if it doesn't go, he's just going to do the same thing. Sometimes, especially on a 40-30 point, getting rhythm, getting the ball out and play, hitting a confident +1. It's important at those moments. Yeah, there you just see the movement on full display too. It's just so comfortable.
Let's also say that this matchup is completely different from these matches Fonseca lost in preparation for this tournament. This player like Marosan, but also the young, even with their ceiling not being being different, and maybe Marosan is even a bit higher as a ceiling, but both not as high as Fonseca probably, but still both had something from the baseline who could annoy Fonseca, while Ubi, there's not really something which stands out, especially in these slow conditions. It's basically all about defense, his match, and if it's not, which it's looking like that, not super brilliant from the physical point of view, like a little bit slow at times, and then it just becomes a nightmare.
Spot on. Spot on. Andre, thanks for joining. And maybe you got a free subscription. I don't know.
It's the Liverpool logo. I think is his profile.
Yep.
Just won the league.
And Napoli.
Yes.
All right.
Like 1990.
Yeah.
Napoli and Liverpool.
Scotty McTominay.
Scottish power. I love Scotland. What are your expectations in terms of what Fonseca would have achieved between now and the end of the season? Who's gonna start?
Go for it, Carson.
I think by the end of the year, he'll be top 50, borderline top 40.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get another 250 title run at some point, but I don't think it's going to take him like 4 or 5 years to figure out how to be a top 10 player, but I don't think it's happening this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same opinion. I just like to be very cautious, meaning that, I know what it's like. I mean, I've passed that age since a while, but I know what it's like to be also an 18-year-old. So it's not easy to be consistent week in, week out, and that's what you need in order to to have that ranking spot. It's generally something that it takes, especially just life on tour. maybe a year to get used to many things. So probably next year it will already look different. I just like to be cautious. And, I was about to say probably seed it as at the Australian Open. I don't think it's too bold.
I don't either. I don't really want to be cautious, guys, but I think my expectations. I'll answer it multi-layered. I didn't think. I thought at least the clay season would go a lot better. I truly did, but now you got grass season coming up, and I mean Fonseca definitely can play on that surface.
Yeah, but I fear the grass a little bit this year.
You fear it?
A little bit, I'm just
go for it.
I want to see how he adapts his movement. Maybe also on grass, one season of kind of adapting to it can. But yeah, I mean, if you say he wins 2 matches at Wimbledon, I'm pretty sure he can. Let's say that if you're telling me he will reach a quarterfinal at a Grand Slam, I say, okay, I think it's most likely will happen at the US Open rather than at Wimbledon.
100%.
Just because of, grass to me feels like a totally different world in terms of, how you have to move on it and how to get used to it. Also little, very few tournaments on it. I think a couple of tournaments he will play. We'll see. Maybe he will exceed my expectations, but I'm expecting more thinking about the North American summer.
Yep, I agree. I think whatever his peak is this year, we will see it by the end of the US Open. I think just because it's his first year on tour, the Asian swing, I mean, that's the part of the year that I think he could start to show a little bit of fatigue in his first full year on tour. Just traveling around the globe for the first time. So I don't know that I have huge expectations from him for the Asian swing. I think whatever he gets to this season as far as like a ranking, he will probably achieve by the end of the US Open.
Yeah. I mean, I guess another thing to add is he started his season a lot earlier than others. Like I don't really understand the physicality aspect that goes into the preparation of preseason for tennis players and whatnot. But anyway, he was at Next Gen. It's in the middle of December in Saudi. So, I mean, it's just like interesting. He obviously went on and won that Next Gen title, which is great. So, yeah, you do think about how, difficult things will come post US Open. But at the same time, he did take a lot of time off. It took a big gap in between in the middle of this year already. So, maybe that can help. But yeah, I think I'll just go back to, I think seeded at Australia is like, the best. I think it's like a very fair assessment and something that he should do. We'll go with that.
Maybe. I mean, because he also won a challenger before the Australian Open as well. So he does have a decent amount of points to defend right away at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Mario, will seeding already be like done by then though?
I'm thinking no, actually. Because it was the United Cup week, so no.
Got it.
Especially because Fonseca played qualifier in Australia. Well, I mean, I think for me, when we're talking about expectations, I hate talking about ranking, because many things can happen, and it depends also on other players as well. So for me, it's mostly about my expectation is, I would say, back-to-back wins at most big tournaments. For example, maybe a semi-final run somewhere or a quarter-final run somewhere. And if it does this from my quick calculations, this should be okay to have a seed at the Australian Open. That's why I went for that goal. But sorry for the word, but I suck at making a goal ranking wise, because I don't know, it's a bit tough for me to say 20, 25,
Right.
15. I generally don't know. I'm more like goal, meaning like what it can do at the tournaments.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for example, French Open, if he wins back-to-back matches, it's already a great tournament for him. And then maybe go step by step.
Yes, I do think
Of course, the draw, it depends on the draw. And I'm like I'm like Manarino when it comes to draws. I always forget it.
Right. I think that is the tough part about tennis. I mean, I'm American, and a lot of my people, follow basketball, football, American football, that is. And
it's Draper. Round 3. Possible round 3 with Draper. So, for example, if he wins 2 matches and loses in 4, a competitive full setter to Draper, and then it's a great tournament.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, like, people judge, tennis by the ranking, how high you got. And it's always a little bit difficult just because it depends on, obviously, your level, but then, like, how do others play at, tournaments that they did well at beforehand, defending points. It's interesting. So, yes, it's hard to say, top, is he 23? But, yeah, top 30 by Australia, I think, is realistic. Anyway, we do have Fonseca serving for the second set. That is on my screen. It is 30-15, second serve. Yeah, there's that kicker I'm talking about. It's just so effective. Hits it so big, jumps off the court, and then it's instant offense off to +1.
You know what?
Tell me.
We'll do something. I'm tuning in for the deciding set. Arnaldo usually Yassim. We'll talk a little bit about both.
Perfect.
For me, it's impossible at a slam to not watch a deciding set.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
I've got 4 matches on right now, so I get it. Fonseca has a 2-set-to-love lead here.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a Grand Slam. It's best of 5. There's still a lot that can happen. But he seems very in control right now.
No, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry if I'm like, but I'll be shocked. I gotta be honest. From what I've seen, I think Hurkacz has generally what it can take to make this, but not tonight. Yes, I mean, at the end of the set, he found the good groove on serve, starting holding serve. But, on return, we haven't really seen anything. The baseline game is, not enough for what today is required. So I don't know. For me, it's looking really unlikely for me to, let's say that, if he manages to hold serve, and then maybe, I don't know, the third set goes to a tie break, for example, and then okay, something can happen. But, it's not looking likely for me at the moment.
Agreed. I think that's his only way in. Winning a close breaker, getting a second wind. I don't know, playing a little bit more confident, but yeah, it looks.
Arnaldo has set points in set 4 against Felix.
He already had 3. He was love 40.
Are you serious?
In this return game.
Yeah.
So talking about Auger Aliassime's, perspective, what's happening right now in his mind, according to you?
For Felix?
Oh, it's got to be terrible.
Okay, great mindset to have right now. Back to deuce there, but yeah, I mean, if he loses this set, I think I've never played like tennis professionally at all, but like even when I go to play and like you're in a situation where like you're serving for a set and then you get broken and then you go to a tiebreak and then it happens again a second time, you can just start to spiral mentally.
Yeah, also thinking about, for example, Australia. You all were mentioning how in Australia he also suffered a comeback. Generally, he hasn't really shown up this year in big tournaments, despite having had won couple titles. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's for sure an uncomfortable position right now mentally. Of course, if he holds here, Arnaldi then has to serve for it. But getting a couple beers, lucky you. I don't have any.
I think we walked off court for bathroom break here.
I just watched Putinseva's celebration. She just beats Solana Sieta. And it looks like she was like giving some weird hand gestures, I think maybe to people in the crowd. Yeah.
I'm abandoning you for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll be here.
I'll be back soon.
See you soon. You can look at all Mario's books for a few moments.
Thanks.
Things on his bookshelf. Have there been any big surprises for you in scorelines today? Any matches that didn't go the way you expected them to go?
Yeah, I think so. Where do I start? I mean,
other than maybe the Dimitrov match, because
yeah,
I mean, I think most people expected him to win, him having to retire.
Yeah, I think everything was fairly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Onsterberg, I didn't watch that match actually. I unfortunately did not get to see that, but I think that's obviously a tough one for her. Sakari, I wanted more out of. I thought like, maybe we have a chance here.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be. Let's see who else. Nothing really else on the women's side. For the men, I thought like, I didn't watch Jiri, but I thought he gave Demonor the respectable run that I thought he should have. I mean, Medvedev Nori, I thought that match should have been, priced closer, if that makes sense. I thought Nori's level in Geneva was like awesome. And, you just don't really want to play him on a slow dirt track,
Yeah.
On serve for the first set, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always difficult. And then it seems like the wheels just fell off, I had to assume, too, after that point, once you lose the breaker. I thought Mensik and Mueller lived up to the hype. Yes. I know we did a preview for that match, and obviously Mensik has the better weapons and better tools, but you mix that with the Mueller, I guess, just fighter kind of game style in the crowd, and who knows for a 19-year-old in Mensik early in his career how much that will get to him, and he held steady. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Jiri, I wish he gave Demonor a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's typical ADM fighter mode. Yeah, I mean, other than Vellucci taking the first set against Draper, nothing else. Nothing else. Bonzi, Herbert. I kind of assumed Bonzi would come out there, but Herbert got the wild card. But yeah, we're back. We're back.
And Fonseca just hit an incredible forehand around Hubie. got a trio of break points now, right away at the beginning of this set.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been heavy lifting from Hubie from the start, and everywhere you look.
And now he'll get to see a second serve. And he converts, hit the net cord. An apology there from Joao, but he wins the first game, gets the early break. That's a bit demoralizing if you're Hubie, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, what is it? Third game in the first set, he got broken.
Yeah.
What was it in the second set? Was it the second game?
Yeah, it was like his second service game of the first set, first service game of the second set, first service game of the third set. Just started out going from behind in every single set so far. Good one from Fonseca.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I was thinking, I mean, obviously we've done plenty of watch-alongs for a best of three. It's going to be my first Grand Slam watch-along. And I'm like, oh, I guess, like, how long could we be here?
I mean, the way this one is going, at this moment, maybe not too much longer, but
right.
I think
that's what my point was. But
during the AO, I forget who it was, but there was one I was on that was nearly 4 hours long. Which,
exactly.
Yeah, you don't realize how long 4 hours is.
Yeah, so far we're just an hour and 15 minutes in. And
but just think about like 3 more hours of this in some matches.
Oh, Andre tells us that Monfils is already taking an MTO. I think he broke in that first game too. No, it's 30-40.
That's probably not good.
Can't really tell. It's like ice going on his knee. He might have taken like a bad fall and scraped his knee. I'm going to take a look. I think that's what it's looking like.
Turning that one on right now. That's not. All right, they're just starting.
Oh, wow, yeah, he took a bad he took a bad fall. His shoe got caught when he was trying to slide. And then he drilled the kind of the side board, if you will.
It's not an encouraging first point that he just played.
Hopefully it's just a stinger.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, that first point that they just played, he didn't look that good. He's moving very gingerly. hopefully that's something he can recover from in the next 3 to 5 minutes. Anyway, here, just had a deuce point. Fonseca wins, has an advantage. First time it's been on deuce on his serve for a while at this point.
Yeah, that was a fighter-esque point there from Hubie to get back in this and get it back to deuce.
Gael Monfils is hurt. Took a pretty bad fall, and then they restarted. He didn't look great for the 3 points that they played. He's out serving right now. This will be the interesting tell for Gael Monfils. He's able to get some speed on his serve. All right, Fonseca up 2-love in the third set.
Yeah, that one felt like a big hold.
Mm-hmm. That was a good time for a drop shot from Hurkacz. You know, though, it just wouldn't be the first round of a Grand Slam if you were not watching multiple matches at the same time.
It's the best time of the year.
It is.
What's your favorite surface, Carson? John, did you already answer who was hurt? Did you tell him it was?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Monfils. Anyway, go ahead, Carson.
I've only played on hard courts.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna make that question more clear.
Yeah,
but we'll go to that part second. What's like your favorite part of the tennis season? Do you like the early, Australian, you like clay, you like grass, you like U.S. hard courts, you like the Asian swing?
I am, being an American, I am biased towards the U.S. hard court swing.
Okay.
There's like the short swing early on in the spring, and then obviously the summer swing is, I think, incredible. But hi, Mario.
Hello.
Another
break
for Fonseca.
Okay.
Yeah, we've just been talking about what our favorite surfaces are.
My favorite.
Yeah, what's your favorite surface? And
I was gonna ask it in a multi-dimensional way, Mario. I was gonna say we can talk about our personal preferences on the tennis court itself, but what part of the season is your favorite? As in Australia, you like the clay, you like grass season.
Canada, Cincinnati, U.S. Open.
All right, U.S. hard court swing. I see you.
And South American swing as well.
Beautiful.
It is. That's a good swing.
I like when, especially the time, like when I can have day session when it's evening for me.
Okay, you're like me. I like watching night tennis or tennis at night.
Not really. Basically, like I don't care about the night sessions usually because night session usually features a top player and maybe the match is not compelling. So like at Arthur Ashe night session, I can go to sleep. Then maybe I wake up to a shock like Alcaraz Van der Zandt. Okay, but okay.
You like watching tennis at night, though, is what I'm saying. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. But I like when it's day session when I'm watching tennis at night.
Yep.
Because there are like more courts. I can choose a match. That's it. And then, I generally prefer hard courts to the other surfaces, even if I like clay as well. I don't like grass. Grass is the only surface I don't like.
You don't like to watch it, or you don't like to play on it, or both? Or
I've never played on grass, I gotta be honest, so I can't say. But yeah, I don't really enjoy watching it. Usually this is one of the least compelling times of the year for me.
Fair enough. Clay is my favorite surface to watch and play on. I like the longer points. I'm with you. I don't know if you don't like grass for the same reasons, but I just think it's a little bit too serve dominated. You're not getting as much rallies. Points are just so quick. And yeah, I guess I like clay because
it is simply, my favorite tournament, but that's by far is the US Open.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, by far. I like the vibes it gives me. I don't know. When it's the US Open, I'm always super pumped. Then, of course, Australia can also be fine because maybe December with few tennis matches, But the time is horrible for me. So
it's horrible for us in America too. So day session starts at literally 1 a.m. my time.
Oh, it's the same. 1 a.m. is the start of day session where I live. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you are my favorite European. Wow. Nobody had ever told me such a beautiful thing.
All right. Monfils has trainers back out again to look at him.
Yikes.
Based on what I've seen so far, I do think he should probably retire.
Really?
He's barely able to walk.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of too bad because I thought Dalian would actually give him a run.
I thought that would be a good one. Mario, maybe you're behind on this, but Monfils took a pretty bad fall in the opening game.
Okay.
And he's had trainers out with him twice now. So it's down 3 love.
Retire from the sport.
From the sport. Maybe not that. From the match? Maybe.
I love this comment. Monfils has made a career out of barely walking. We remember it was a night session 2 years ago.
Arnaldi holds, evens it up at 1 apiece in the 5th. Any predictions? Can Felix regroup, get it done, or is the Arnaldi storm going to come through here?
The Arnaldi at this point, right?
Probably yes.
Yep, I would agree.
Yeah, it would be an amazing moment for Felix if he was able to come back and grab this in the 5th set for him, but I'm not sure I trust him that much. Fonseca has great points here. Get a double break in the 3rd set.
Yeah, Hubie's just looked lethargic a bit in the movement, getting caught in no man's land, not really having a plan.
Yeah, body language isn't particularly great either.
I'd like to know the quickest 3-set match. I mean, I assume it's
The
probably
quickest what?
quickest best of 5 match. I'm curious if anything has been like under an hour. This one is tracking to be, let's see. How far are we in?
You mean ever?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking out loud and I'm like, all right, there's probably been some really like quick beatdowns.
No, I'm pretty sure this match is not breaking any record from that.
No.
Trust me.
It's fast, but not quite that fast. It's back to deuce. And Hubie.
I can already tell you that Hurkacz has lost a Grand Slam match in 1 hour and 19 minutes.
That's quick.
Wow.
Yeah, he won US Open 2018. He won 2 games against Cilic.
Whew.
I think we are already over that. I think.
It would be fitting.
Yeah.
It would be fitting
Yeah.
to get that match up one more time at Wimbledon. Yeah? Why not?
Then he has won a match in 1 hour and 24, which we have already passed as well. So yeah, it's not even breaking, a
No.
record in terms of his career. So
No.
Hernani has break points.
It's a 4-1 now.
Yeah, and Arnaldi has 2 break points. I think Hubie's like in disbelief that that ball's not good. Oh, he's going to look at it. Oh, well, I feel a little bit for Hubie. It's been a tough 4 days now. But we're going to grass. That should make him feel a lot better.
Are you guys okay to stay live to the end of Felix Arnaldi? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if this one ends pretty quickly.
Drop
Which
shot.
Got him.
Ooh, the passing shot.
Yes, there.
Arnaldi gets the break.
Watching the same thing. Well done.
So, Arnaldi's up a break in this 5th set.
Yeah, Jake, I think that's a fair analysis today. Just like the early, I mean, Hubie getting broken just very, very early in every set.
Mhm.
So this would be the 5th time Felix wins the first 2 sets and loses the match.
5th.
5th, yeah.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
Wimbledon 24, Australian Open 25. So it would be the 3rd time in the last 4 slams.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Who was it last year at Wimbledon?
Kokinakis.
Oh yeah.
Kokinakis, Davidovich, Fokina in Australia. And then earlier, 2 times again in Australia, 21 against Karatsev. And 22, the famous quarterfinal against Medvedev.
Yeah.
Big serve.
US Open. He lost against Mensik. Okay. He starts with a good passing shot here.
Yeah, that was well done.
But Arnaldi finds an ace. It must be kind of frustrated when you've won a great point, pulled off a hot shot, you're low 15, and then ace. You know.
I know. Just wait for grass season. No, I know. That's why tennis is so I appreciate the format of the sport. (5-1) Fonseca, and we already talked about this. It's PHH who awaits the winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Probably Draper.
Who do you think will have more fans, Herbert or Fonseca? I guess
don't underestimate the French.
That's what I'm saying. It's a genuine question. Like I think it should be close.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that might be on.
Of course, who's playing during that time frame on that day is important too.
They'll make it a nice session, maybe.
I don't know.
Given what they did to him today,
but
I think if it was a more established French, meaning higher in the ranking, then Herbert is established, meaning that he's also had amazing success in doubles. But you know what I mean.
All right, multiple set points for Fun and match points for Fonseca.
Probably it's gonna be Djokovic.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, Jake.
Or Sinner.
Right. Well,
Sinner actually has a good probability against Ganske.
Yeah, that's probably what it will be. Hurkacz saves both match points.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Jake, I was just going to comment on PHH because, I mean, I feel like he was an interesting watch in terms of, from the serve. He's definitely a more comfortable watch on, quicker courts. Good serve. Uses the volley well, too. But, yeah, ground game is interesting. So I've kind of been curious about his success on clay.
Doesn't have a ground game, but it's difficult to do less than what Ubi has done today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I didn't know.
No, meaning that Ubi unfortunately hasn't been able to really express himself, and of course Fonseca playing great tennis made the scoreline look like that.
Right.
Herbert can maybe still be a little bit more like off pressure, and doing also, I mean, for the people, find some motivation in that. So I'm expecting, in some patches to not be probably as straightforward. We're already doing the prediction, by the way, the preview, by the way, whatever. But I'm thinking like it's gonna be a straight set, but we're a little bit better patches for Herbert than what Hubie has done today.
That was a Hubie ace, by the way, to get it back to deuce. Was it? I haven't seen many aces from him.
We saved 3 match points on his serve.
Yeah, it was well executed drop shot.
I have zero idea who is on last ball tonight.
I'll be on there.
Okay.
Then
I will also be on there.
Yeah, you're on there.
Okay.
Fergus.
Damien?
Fergus.
On the other match, Arnaldi or Geraliasim, this can be a very important game because Arnaldi is struggling to hold.
Right.
So, this game can kind of define a little bit, meaning that if Arnaldi gets this close hold, and then it's going to be tough for Felix to bounce back. He doesn't return well here. Oh, yeah, that's probably what I wanted to say. Sean said better. I'm not talking about how many games Herbert's going to win compared to Hurkacz, but still, I think, it should be a bit more, entertaining. Not that this hasn't been entertaining because, Fonseca played great and it's been good to watch, but, when Hubie is not there, it's kind of difficult to make the most out of the match. While Herbert, I think, like a few good points here and there, he has something to show regardless of the score. And I don't know if I can explain what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I'm hearing you, Mario. I am hearing you.
I like Jake's point. Like, Hubert can probably disrupt Fonseca a little bit more than Hubie has done today.
Yeah, as well. That's right as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's why my question revolved around, like, kind of curious how he got through today. I've watched him kind of more challenger circuit, indoor hard courts, where, he's just botting and getting to the net, and that's good enough. But I haven't watched like a big stretch. I think I watched him at the Turin Challenger last year. Maybe it wasn't even there, but maybe Naples Challenger last year. But I mean, I checked some of his recent results, and like he's hanging.
The American Naples.
No.
the Italian one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know you knew that, Mario. Yeah.
I know it.
I guess you have to, given who you support and any other things that comes with the name. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's also a Rome.
There is. Do you know where it is? Do you know where it is in the States?
I actually don't know.
It's in Georgia. It's so random. It's in Georgia.
Okay.
I didn't know either, actually, but they have some lower level events there. Some ITFs. That's so funny. But Arnaldi did get that hold, and now you think no sit down here for Felix. How important is this game? Good volley, and he puts it away.
Arnaldi gets to everything.
He does. He's so quick. He was one of my early. I mean, Mario, maybe we've talked about it, but he was one of my favorite early Italian players. And I just got into the sport recently, and I was like, this guy's awesome. But it's just so the variance in levels, you just don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, let's say probably he's one of these players where the difference of enjoyment you get to watch when his level is good and or not good is the widest. Meaning that he can spray many unfasters if it's not his day. But as you mentioned, he's also very fun to watch when things click on because of his athleticism and, the way he can defend the court and find great shots as well.
Yep.
I think Arnaldi would play Zverev in round 3 if he wins next round. It's not an easy second round. Koboli is awaiting for the winner of this match. So Fonseca wins.
6-2. 6-4, 6-2. Straightforward.
Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I think I'd say I'm surprised. I guess straightforward the match was in terms of Hubie getting broken early in every set, and that kind of set the tone. But obviously credit Fonseca for holding a good level. I think it just after that final against Djokovic in Geneva on Saturday, it took a lot out of Hubie, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And coming here, as I mentioned, the crowd being a factor. It's just a lot to handle, and as we talked about, like having a strong start is important in that sort of sense. But well done to Fonseca.
Yeah, there's not really, I think, any result that would have shocked me today.
Yeah.
As I said before the match started, like anything could happen here, and Joao played so great today. Forehand was just absolutely on fire, and yeah, obviously Hurkacz was dealing with some physical and maybe mental hangover from the run last week. Just wasn't his day, and wasn't able to hold it together at some points early on in sets, and he's just playing from behind all day long.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a great opening round for Fonseca. As the score itself suggests, it's both things happened. Fonseca played an amazing match. His level really was very, very good today. At the same time, of course, not the greatest resistance possible for Hubie. You all have mentioned all the factors that could have weighed in his performance today. And I kind of agree with everything. So of course, great to see Fonseca playing this well. Of course, much to look forward in his next one. As I said, Fonseca starts as a favorite, but I'm still expecting an enjoyable match, meaning that I think in terms of how Hubert plays this game, it can be an entertaining matchup regardless of the results.
I agree. He'll
Totally.
definitely be a favorite going into the next one, and he'll be a very different type of player that he's going up against. But I think he probably should be able to come through, maybe in 4 sets. Maybe he drops one.
I'm probably leaning for the straight sets.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were doing a preview as well. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's Fonseca in straight sets. In terms
but
of,
as I mentioned, I feel like it will be a bit close. I'm expecting 2 close sets, let's say. Probably something like that.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, straight sets, maybe one close one. You know how big of a server Hubert is, and just plays like a little bit more trickier in a sense. Not the best from the baseline, but has the ability to get to the net. Has great hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that could help him out a bit. But Fonseca kind of just getting a warm up in a sense. Didn't spend much time on court. Hubert played 5 against Bonzi. So, yeah.
I think we're all looking ahead to Fonseca Draper. I don't know. I remember Draper plays against to draw against. Okay. There's Monfils Lilian. 5-3. Yeah, probably. It's looking likely at this point that matchup will happen. But yeah, I think we will talk about it eventually in the future.
Perfect.
Felix got a good hold.
Yeah.
He was brought to deuce, but managed to get an hold. So, pressure back on Arnaldi's side on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it does a great job getting there. As Mario talked about, the Arnaldi pace on full display.
So the winner of this match will face Kabali.
Kabali, yeah.
Then from there,
probably another 5-set are coming.
And then winner of that would take on the winner of Zverev and De Jong.
Will Munar Fields go 5 sets? It's possible. It's not impossible, in my opinion.
I think these would have to be below the level he's shown recently if it were to go 5 sets. Munar hasn't necessarily been playing his greatest the past few weeks, so I think
Munar against Fields is also one of these matches where I wouldn't really be entirely shocked by any result.
Yeah,
Munar is playing very well, so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch Carabelli, Munar. Probably can assume what it looked like, though. I just think Fees has a little bit more firepower, a lot more firepower. And Carabelli plays like such a different style of tennis. There's a good point from Felix.
I think Munar doesn't mind playing against players who have that sort of firepower.
Mm-hmm. I think that for a number of reasons, but go ahead, Mario.
So that's why I think, I don't know, it can be very tricky for Fields. It's it's not really an easy match, in my opinion.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Munar, like a born defender, so he's and probably could run a marathon. So yeah,
8 points.
Yes.
Wow. Tough way for that to end.
Break points.
Neither of them are doing particularly well on break point, it looks like. Arnaldi 4 of 15. Felix is 4 of 18.
One has gone.
Yeah, the Muhova match is just beginning, which I believe that's the last match that needs to start today.
Which one?
Muhova and Parks.
Oh, that's true. But which card is that?
Good.
Simon Mathieu.
Yes.
And we're back to deuce. So Arnaldi saves both break points.
And Carson Monfils has a break back point as Delian is serving for the set.
So he's not retiring.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good news.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is, of course. I'm,
I know. I was joking myself.
I'm actually happy to hear because, that was also a possible match, which could have been interesting, like a potential match between Monfils and Draper.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even just for the vibes and the atmosphere, even if Draper is going to look like the favorite in that one. But still, it's a match you really can enjoy on paper.
Right. And he does take it. So Monfils is back on serve. Will serve to stay in the set at 4-5.
Oh, a mistake with that forehand. Arnaldi hit a slice. Roger was really lethargic in going, in going down on his legs. I mean, it's reasonable after more than 4 hours. But yeah, of course, it's, a mistake which cost him the game. Arnaldi was facing trouble, but still holds.
Yeah, I mean, this is, sorry, because Jake pointed out, but this is Muhova's first match since Miami. So.
Oh, true. At times I forget this is round 1.
I know.
Because it's the third day. So I was like,
right.
Really? Mukova hasn't played?
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. I'm laughing at Ghosty's comment.
Yeah.
Hey, I will say I watched Felix and Alex Mueller play in Hamburg last week, and Felix showed some fight. He showed some heart. I think he saw 4 match points in the second set and didn't take any of them, but was able to recover. So I don't know. It just fluctuates with Felix for me. I just don't know.
Yeah, thing is,
his head's at
right now, like Arnaldi's kind of trying to do more. Felix always looks like a millisecond late on the shots, and then of course he's still in it because Arnaldi can miss, and Felix played also a couple great points, but the feeling is that Felix is starting to look like a little bit late on everything right now.
Wow.
Arnaldi wins another good point.
Yeah, I always think it's a decent idea to drop shot. Felix does like to hang from the baseline, but I don't know, maybe not the quickest getting to the ball. And the decisions up there aren't always the best. There he goes for the redrop, which wasn't like a terrible effort, but Arnaldi,
you're just sure if he had much of a choice on that ball, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about in terms of his, I guess, just doesn't have a really quick jump on the ball. Maybe a little bit lack of anticipation, but
second serve here. And a big one. Arnaldi puts the return just wide. Delian has a set point on the serve right now. And Arnaldi has a break point here.
A very important one because he can, then eventually serve for this win.
It does feel like this is effectively a match point in a way. If he converts here, I don't think that the AA is coming back.
No, I don't think so, but wow.
That was good.
Very good point. It's always important to stay in touch, somehow with the score, especially in these tight situations, because, something can always happen.
Yep. And Delian did break to win the first set 6-4.
Okay.
Wow. I would not have guessed that.
What are you talking about?
Go for it, Carson.
Sorry? I didn't say anything there, but...
Oh, I thought you said Delian broke Monfils.
He did.
You did, yeah.
I did say that. And Mario.
Yeah. I didn't see that coming. Not going to lie.
Another break point.
Yeah, and the second serve.
We hope it gets broken.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how that return to play is.
Drop shot. Missed the drop shot. Arnaldi gets the break. A double break lead in the deciding set. He will serve for the match.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on about this conversation, but it's just terribly taxing, I think, for Felix. It feels like years back, but I mean, I thought he was back at this this February, March type of time. I thought he was playing better tennis again, looking better on court, more confident. And yeah, I mean, here we are. It's about to be the third out of the last 4 slams where you go up 2 sets to love and lose.
You feel like, especially after the day, it starts becoming a mental thing as much as anything else at this point. Like, he absolutely can win any of these matches. That's an easy thing to say when you're up 2 sets to love, but there's none of them really that you look at and say, like, yeah, you could see it coming at any point. He's capable of winning all of them, so it's very tough for him.
So 15 love already. Well, for Arnaldi, this would be such a great win, actually.
Huge.
Great forehand. Right. 30 love is just 2 points away.
What would you expect, from a match between Caboli and Arnaldi?
Gosh, I love that question, Mario, because I feel like I talked about this with someone already, I think, this year, but I feel like they kind of traded places in terms of, like, from 2023 to 2025. Even on the Davis Cup team. But I feel like they're just similar kind of all court players. They, possess like a very like high baseline foundation. I feel like in all shots of tennis, if that makes sense. They're very well-rounded players, athletes. They don't necessarily excel on a specific shot or pattern, but they can do it all. And that's what I think, like, those are the type of players that I get highly invested in, just because they have so much ability. But I feel like it would just be a clash. Very, very physical.
Coin toss.
Yes, that's literally just a coin toss. Yeah.
I'm probably leaning a little bit towards Arnaldi, even if Koboli is in greater form, because I think Arnaldi can frustrate Koboli's attacking tennis. And this can probably be kind of the deciding factor in this one. So probably I'm slightly leaning towards Arnaldi if I have to choose, to make a prediction on that one. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to be, I think, a match where, it should be very entertaining and also a close affair. I don't really expect, it to be lopsided.
No. I think.
Yeah, sorry, Ghosty. Sorry.
In between those two. He's been playing fairly well lately.
Yeah.
And I mean, just from matches today, one of these players spent an hour 45 on court. The other spent almost 4.5 hours. So like that, over just 2 days, that can matter a little bit.
Yeah, it's possible. As I say, there are many correct, let's say, takes on that one. Meanwhile, dues from 40 love up, of course, the margin is still very, very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Producer. Yep.
Another match point. Now we have to cheer because me especially because I brought the discussion in, so
yeah, we can't be unbiased anymore.
You have to save me from the embarrassment.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've done a preview to matches that have never happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it Rome? I think Fergus and I did a Raducanu preview, and that match never happened.
Well, yeah, via a walkover. But yeah, I mean, what an exciting match that would be.
Yeah, Bencic Rybakina.
Yeah, I was excited for the Shelton Gaston match. Rematch of last year. That's it. We're safe.
Only for the second round.
We're safe.
All right, you can use that preview now.
Now it makes sense.
I mean, what a comeback, though. Especially after a second set that was a little more one-sided.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I only tuned in after the break in the fourth, but yeah, just felt like he had the momentum and ran with it.
Exciting commentary. Well, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I think that's it.
That is it. Yeah. That was perfect. That was perfect.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Me as well. Glad we could do it. And looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, of course, thanks to everybody who's been tuning in this almost 3 hours, and of course everybody who haven't subscribed. They have to do it now. And if you have enjoyed, I hope so. So thank you too, guys. It's been a big pleasure for me to talk with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to do more soon.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
What he said.
Yeah,
Cheers,
we'll be doing last ball drops soon. In Swiatek Raducanu. Watch along tomorrow.
Great. So let's tune in. Bye bye, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.